Hello, everyone. Welcome to the WISER Women in the Spotlight interview series. I am Yvonne A. Jones, relationship marketing strategist and personal business coach. I show business owners how to grow their business while reducing. They work with clients they love, they retain them, and they have fun in their business. Because I personally believe if you're not having fun in your business, what's the point? Now, as the founder of the 15 WISER community on Facebook, it's a community of dynamic women who want to do more, give more, and be more. It's my honor and delight to feature women or spotlight women of the community. So welcome to those of you who are joining us live, and welcome to those of you who will be watching the replay or listening to the audio in the future. Now today, our WISER woman in the spotlight is Jerri St. John. Jerri, I'm honored to have you here, and I'm so honored to have you as a member of the 15 WISER community since 2018.
Thank you so much, Yvonne.
You're very welcome. And it's now my pleasure to go ahead and introduce Jerri to you. Jerri was born in New Jersey and raised in California, and she has resided in Maryland for almost 30 years. Jerri has been on her own since she was 16 years old, working and supporting herself throughout high school and junior college. Jerri embraced life lessons and excelled in customer service throughout her business career. We have that in common as well, Jerri. Jerri has been in direct sales as a top trainer, coach, and mentor since the age of 19. She loves inspiring and empowering women to find their inner strength and beauty while becoming the best version of themselves. A certified life coach, independent stylist, and team leader with Color Street, and owner of Jewels from Jerri, Jerri considers her optimism, love for people, and her positive outlook to be her greatest strengths. Having risen from the challenges or above the challenges of clinical depression, morbid obesity, domestic violence, and a childhood of abuse, Jerri works to be a light in the world and help women improve their lives through her weekly Finding Your Power broadcasts on Facebook. She's soon to be a podcast host, and Jerri is extremely passionate about her mission. Again, welcome, Jerri. And before we start a conversation, thank you, we'll go any deeper. I want to personally recognize you and to thank you for being a very active. We have members who are active. We have members who are not so active, but then you are one of the very active members of the 15 WISER community. And what I love about you is that you are extremely supportive of members, of fellow members. You're always there with positive quotations, supportive responses to questions, and giving feedback. And you just have a really upbeat personality that enhances the group. And your support actually makes my role easier, because sometimes you've already commented or answered something that I don't have to do it. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Yvonne. It's my pleasure. I really enjoy the community so very much.
Happy to hear. Now, Jerri, you mentioned, first of all, that you've been on your own since you were 16. Now, I graduated from high school and walked 6 weeks later into my first job at 16. But it sounds to me like what you have shared so far and what I shared in your introduction, that life was not one of dolls and play tea sets. Can you share? You want to share a little bit about what is that and what has brought you, what your childhood was like, as much as you choose to share, and what has brought you to where you are today? But even before you get to where you are today, what is one thing that helped you to mitigate the challenges of childhood?
Wow. Yes. My childhood definitely was not one of tea sets and dolls. It was pretty much one of hiding in my bedroom to avoid the arguing and the chaos that was going on around me in my home. My parents were young when they got married, and they had me. My mom was like almost 18, not even quite 18 yet. And of course, really, what I know now today, as an 18-year-old, I had no clue what it meant to be a parent. So I think that what happened was my parents got divorced when I was 14 and a half years old. There was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of neglect. My mom basically struggled with clinical depression. I believe she was never diagnosed as such, but she also was a prescription drug abuser. And so she would hide literally for days in her room while my father worked 3 jobs and was gone all the time, because I believe, looking back, that he was avoiding the chaos that was our home. And his way was to escape by working all of the time. So my mom would literally stay in the bedroom for days on end. And I wound up having to become an adult at 8 or 9 years old and parent my 2 younger brothers. I had no idea what I was doing. And so that, combined with both physical and mental abuse in the household when my father was there, it was always wait till your father gets home. My mother never issued the discipline. It was always wait till your father gets home. And of course, those of our generation, I think a lot of us relate to that. But my father was one who was raised in a very strict Italian Catholic household, and they used the belt. That was their method of disciplining children. And so we looked forward to wait till your father gets home with the belt. Mm-hmm. It was not pleasant. So I hid in my room. I avoided. And that was very difficult for somebody like me who has always been outgoing and always been a people person. I thrived on the love that my grandparents gave me, and thankfully they lived very close by. But when my parents divorced, my mother suddenly became a teenager again and started dating, running around, partying, carrying on. And I was left at home to care for my younger brothers constantly. So one night I found something that showed me that there was some things going on that just were not kosher. And I got very upset and very hurt. She had told me that she had married this man that was living in our house. And they were indeed not married. There was a fake marriage certificate that I found and recognized the handwriting on it. So my relatives were in collusion with her, signing their signatures as witnesses in a completely different name. And I reacted like any 16-year-old would do. I called a friend and said, I need to come over. I can't stand this. Well, I waited because that sense of responsibility that I had gained being a parent to my brothers, I couldn't leave them alone in the house until I knew my mother would be coming home any moment. So I called my friend and I got a ride over to another friend's home. That's my big running away story. I called my friend and said, can I come over and stay with you tonight? And I left about 5 minutes before my mother was due home so that I wouldn't leave my brothers alone, and went to a friend's house. Well, my mother found out where I was because one other friend knew and told her. They came and yanked me back home. And the next morning I was put on a plane 3,000 miles away to go live with a grandmother that hated me. And she hated me because I was my mother's daughter. So she didn't know me. She didn't bother to get to know me. And I lived in an attic room for the next year and a half while I went to high school. Total stranger, didn't know anyone, didn't have any friends, didn't have any family or any support, and literally had to go out and work for a living because the only thing she gave me was that attic room where I couldn't even stand up unless I was in the middle of the room where the gables were. And I had to work and go to school all the while missing my home that I had been in for all my life, missing my friends, my family, everyone around me. And my mother, I found out, was lying to everyone, telling them that she found drugs on me and sent me away because of that. And when in reality, it was because I didn't approve of her lifestyle. I was hurt. I was upset because I had been deceived and I had been lied to. So
Wow.
I wound up having to work for a living at 16 years old while I went to school. And you know, what it did to my self-esteem was it completely destroyed me, because I believe that that was maybe the ultimate, I always call it the ultimate betrayal. Your mother, the one person who gave birth to you, who is supposed to love you and protect you, rejected me. And so what I did for many of my adult years was I went through life believing I was worthless, believing that if my own mother can't even love me, then I must not be worth anything. And I won't even go into all the other stuff that happened, but finally, in my 60s, and I'm not going to say that I didn't do some work on myself throughout the years. I did. I mean, but I kept repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. So finally in my 60s, I said, enough is enough. After being treated for depression, being on medication for 20 years, I went to an actually my late 50s, I went to an acupuncturist and got off all of the antidepressants and all the medications that were numbing me out, and started doing inner work on myself to get free of the chemicals that were being put into my body, to find out who I really was, to lose 110 pounds and start living a life. And every day now is a blessing. Every day is a new adventure. And every day I wake up grateful. So that's in a very short nutshell.
Well, you know something? That's more than a nutshell. That's quite a nut. But you shared some things, and I do want to say this. I'm sure you recognize this now, and you've been helped to recognize this. But you said something earlier about at 8 or 9, you were taking care of your brothers, and you had no idea what you were doing. You were not supposed to have an idea what you were doing because you were a child. You needed to be taking care of yourself. But just a moment, let me say hi to some friends. We have Luana who's watching. Hi, Luana. The Peggy's watching. And unfortunately, ladies or gentlemen, StreamYard would only show Facebook user. So we won't know until when we're done and if we can see your name. So thank you for being here. Great. So Jerri, yeah, that really was a traumatic childhood. And it's very easy to see, you know, the thing though is when you look back, a lot of what we went through, not we necessarily, but what children went through. And it's still a thing that parents and other adults believe even today, that what happens in childhood does not affect you later in life. Sadly, we know that is not true.
No. That
is not true. And when you talk about corporal punishment, I'm from Jamaica. I was raised in Jamaica. So we got that at school. We got that at home, wherever it was. That was the way to discipline. To flog first, talk after, if there was talking at all.
Right.
But one of the things that you said at the end really emphasizes the fact that you got help. You got supported so that now you effuse joy. You effuse positivity, and that is what we want to focus on. So you mentioned in your introduction that I read that at 19 you were a direct sales leader. So how has that influenced you over the years? Because you've always seemed to follow the direct sales path.
I have. I started out at 19 years old with Tupperware as my very first business that I ever started, and had no idea. Again, you know, jumped in, it sounded good. I only started Tupperware because I was living on my own at 19 and I had an apartment and I needed something. So I decided to sign up. Through the years, I truly believe that direct sales has provided me with an opportunity for growth, for improvement, for helping to build my self-esteem. And I credit the fact that my grandfather was actually a traveling salesman. He used to sell tape, like Scotch tape, only back then it was called tuck tape. That was a business that was in business back then. And he used to travel and sell tape to people. So I think it's in my genes to be in sales, but I don't view sales as a selling thing. It's more about sharing something that I love. It's more about passing on something that can improve someone's life. And if I like it and I believe in it, then I will pass it on just like I would a good restaurant or a good book or a good movie. And so I'm not your typical salesperson because I don't like pushy salespeople. I don't like spammy salespeople. I believe that there is an audience for everything, and you need to recognize that not everybody's going to want what you have, and all I can do is share it and then stay out of the results. So it's taught me to be more self-confident. It's taught me to learn really excellent customer service skills, but I learned a lot of that also through the jobs I've had. I worked in a life insurance business as an office manager for years and actually took courses. I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn new things. And so I took courses to become a life office management associate. And one of those courses was a certification in customer service. So I've made sure that customer service is always at the forefront of everything that I do. It's not about me, it's about the customer. It's about that person that I'm serving. And when I serve with a servant's heart, which is what I do, and I truly have everybody else's best interest at heart, then it comes back to me tenfold.
Excellent. And I know other people are listening. So many times, women especially, if you're not in something like direct sales, and many even go into it, maybe for the reasons that you started at first, but clearly you have come to love it. And I love what you said. Number one, you don't believe in being pushy. You love something, you want to share it with other people, because that's what it really is about. If you don't love the thing, you don't enjoy it, you can't share with sincerity, and you're not acting in integrity. So that's something that you shared, and which is something that goes across the board. Then customer service, which anyone who knows me knows how passionate I am about customer service. That is always going to be at the forefront. How you take care of your customers, how you relate to them, and if you have their interests at heart, then you're going to do what's best for them. And the third point, there's something that a lot of people, because I've been in direct sales, and a lot of persons in direct sales, even I was told that everyone is your market. No, we know that not everyone is your market. And so you have to identify who it is that you really want to market to so that your message can get across. And all of those things you have mastered. Now, finally, because we're almost getting to the end of the time, you talk a lot about empowering women. Just share with us, Jerri, just a couple of tips on how women who may or may not have, been traumatized at some point, because so many women have, but whether or not they've gone through any kind of severe trauma. But how is it, just 2 tips, that women can feel empowered in today's society so that they can take the reins and really move forward with whatever it is that they really truly desire to do, and know that they are acting in their own power and strength? I know it's a long question.
That's okay. So one of the things that I've learned is to silence, not completely get rid of, but to quiet the voices of the old tapes in my head. The limiting beliefs that everybody else has poured into my head over the years, all the authority figures, the parents, the teachers, the bosses, who told me I wasn't enough. We are more than enough. We are awesome, we are powerful, we are strong within ourselves. And whatever belief system you have, whether it's the universe, God, a higher power, whatever it might be, tapping into that every single day to make sure that you are receiving that extra strength that helps to empower you. The other thing is to surround yourself with people who are positive, uplifting, and supportive. And that's one of the reasons I love your community so much, Yvonne, because I find that whenever I give, I get back. And the more you give, the more you get back. And that's true in anything we do in life. Mm-hmm. So those are probably the 2 best tips that I can offer.
And 2 very good tips too. Jerri, it's been wonderful, and I would love for us to have another conversation. We're getting some great comments here. You're an amazing woman, You are
Thank you.
incredible. Beautiful smile. Yes, we are more than enough. All great comments. And once we're done, this is being streamed on my wall in the group and on my Facebook page, which is 50 and Wiser Coaching. Or the actual link is facebook.com/50 and Wiser Mentoring. Please make sure and check, because there will be people there, who viewers or who will come later on, and they have all these wonderful things to say. So you want to make sure capture them too.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Jerri, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to our wonderful, wonderful guests who are watching and who will be watching the replay. Thank you so much. And by all means, if you wish to share this, please feel free to do so. So my last question is, how can our listeners and viewers get in touch with you if they want to?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, Jerri St. John with 2 R's. I'm also here in the group. But beyond that, I am actually a Color Street stylist, and it mentioned that I was a team leader with Color Street. I just promoted to director, which is the next promotion above. And only in 4 months, growing a wonderful team of amazing stylists. So you can find me on colorstreet.com. I'm also here on Facebook. I've got a variety of different ways. I do a Monday morning broadcast, which is empowering and inspiring, called Finding Your Power. And that's done on my Facebook timeline. So lots of ways to find me.
Great.
Jules from Jerri. Yeah.
All right. And you can put some of those in the chat.
I certainly will.
Oh, awesome. All right, Jerri, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a really great delight. It's a delight to have you as the series guest today. And again, to our viewers and those who will be watching later on, thank you so much for your support. Now, ladies, if you are 50 and wiser and you have not yet become a member of our community, we invite you to do so. It's the 50 and Wiser, number 50, A&D, Wiser community on Facebook. Again, as Jerri, you heard Jerri say, it's a safe, warm community where you'll be loved and you'll be shown love and you'll be supported. So please come and join us. Just answer 2 simple questions. Are you a woman who is 50 and wiser, and who referred you? That's all. And I'll be happy to accept you. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend.
Thank you for having me, Yvonne.
You're welcome, Jerri. See you soon.